Hey, how are you doing? I'm doing great. More snow here on the mountain today. Um, Lovely. I dig the ice and the snow and the fog and all that kind of stuff. The deer antler thing I did forget to mention in my video. I apologize about the way I communicate sometimes. I'm sort of very stream of consciousness, and when I'm actually with people, I talk in this very sort of chopped up sentence way, and somehow there's a telepathic intuition way that I can talk with people. And me and my colonic therapist, actually, I have this going on with her and my ex-boyfriend probably more than anybody. The deer are not harmed. They live on and on and on, and they live this lovely life that they would never experience otherwise in these so appears to be, with what little I haven't actually studied it, a big business in New Zealand, and the government of New Zealand actually knows this, and it has regulatory methods for the industry within New Zealand. So yeah, that was a lot of stuff coming from a person called Gafdnef, Ghafdnnef. Was sort of stirring up a bit of this kind of thinking that this idealistic vegan kind of thing, which is all good. I dig it, but it's just as humans, we've got to be aware of what our real diet is. And it's like, just because you can come up with a concept and you can convince other people of that concept, doesn't necessarily mean that, you know. And I'm talking about the idealism of you know, non-destruction, the whole vegan philosophy, just from the point of view of ethical and dealing with the animals. But again, I had a video a while back where I showed the cat and everything, and it's just like so many of these sort of, let's call them city slicker vegans. Idealistic people that have pets, that feed their pets the right diet, and then they wouldn't dare cross that line of, like, you know, and if you have, and there was people, I knew people were doing this in the 80s of trying to make their cats vegan, and there was some of these sort of idealistic people that were associated with the Animal Liberation Front and all this stuff, and I was in on all of that, PETA, all of that stuff, and I think that stuff at the time was great, because the sort of militant stuff that a lot of those people did, and the sort of very graphic stuff, it brought the awareness in. And the same, I feel the same way about Earth First and some of the stuff, and I was a big supporter of some of these groups financially. I was a pretty wealthy person in the 80s, because my partner at the time, we did the same thing, and we made a double income, and I supported a lot of that kind of stuff. Anyway, so I wanted to get on with these city slicker vegans sort of get very idealistic, and they really haven't actually been around deer except maybe at the zoo or something like that. And, you know, here where I live, especially, we're coming into a period where these ferns grow, and up on a highway that connects two communities here, I see deer all the time. Plus, when I'm hiking, I see deer, and they're usually much more aware of you way before the other way around. And now things like bears and coyotes, sometimes there's predator animals. They're kind of like, you can sort of stumble on them, especially a bear. They're sort of psychically a bit clumsy, and deer are like highly tuned in. And I have talked to other sort of forest people, and I do consider myself a complete forest freak. I have a great friend who I hang out with all the time who is in the same vibe. We've talked about this, and sometimes the deer will know you. You know, and there was a great video that Paul, 3 Treasure video, did about his turkey tail adventure with the deer leading him to the turkey tail, and I love this stuff. I've had a lot of this stuff with deer, and the person who was stirring up the deer antler should ask the deer, I don't know who you are. There's a lot of stuff in there. I don't really get into that, just because I don't think it's real. We have to keep aware of this jungle politics, and a lot of you And by jungle politics, I mean what we're supposed to really eat or what's our diet. And me, I come from a vegan background, and what I feel strongly about right now is I want to combine a diet that's more proper to what we really need to do, that's vegan conscious, that's sustainable. This is a video all by itself. I really wanted to cover a lot of ground in this video, so I get to like fucking talking, and on I go. So, so what I'm doing this morning is I'm making a probiotic soup. This is a bit of kefir that I made on my own, and then I got my order from iHerb yesterday, and I got a bottle of this stuff, Super 8 probiotic, 42 billion cultures per cap. I'm putting all 30 caps in here, so I'm going to be taking like a 1.3 trillion in one shot, and I'm really into doing probiotics this way. And I take my home probiotics more daily, but when I get something like this, I don't take 1 cap a day. I learned this from Truth, and it's really very powerful, and it actually, I think it helps your system get a big leg up on all of that what's going on in your gut. And I've read a lot about this. I'm certainly not an expert, but a lot of these organisms have the ability to quote-unquote pleomorph, means that a good bacteria in bad conditions could actually turn into a bad bacteria. Did I say that right? A good could turn to a bad. And so I think when you saturate with a big dose like this, some magic happens. And the fun thing about it is you get a big sort of high, a brain high, and not a schizo, overstimulated, young herb kind of high. This is a very balanced. And anyways, I just want to reference a video, be the first link up with Truth Calkins making one of his massively expensive $130 drink. And this is a good thing to do, and all the money people are gonna, yeah. And this is a great way to do probiotics. Mine here, I'm adding some FOS that I crushed up. I couldn't find a powder at my health food store, which FOS aids with probiotics, and then this I got from iHerb. And then I'm going to open the whole thing in there. Question 2 about the formula called Willpower by Dragon Herbs. Asking me questions about that. So first, the question about why do I look so young? So a lot of stuff I'm doing that I'm changing. I'm a lot more vibrant. One of the things that I've brought to the forefront is I'm trying not to be so obsessive health weirdo and expressing more me. And keeping with my childhood dreams, which have never failed. And I actually heard Donna Gates talk about that, and talk about that is an important thing with longevity, is that initial childlike dream. And so for me, that has never failed. So I keep that alive. The herb Willpower, I love that. That's actually one of my favorite herbs of just getting a boom results. I think the will of a lot of modern people, even if the Shen, and there is a great video that Truth does on Poygala about this sort of subculture topic within the idea of Taoist medicine of a fourth treasure called the will. And I can really, from my own stuff, really buy into this. Won't talk too much about this except to put the link there. For this podcast with Truth talking about Poygala and the will. Taking a lot of willpower. You take a big smacking heap of that stuff, maybe 12 a day for 3 or 4 weeks. You could do that and get some boom results like crazy. It is a bit drying, so if you take it with Hoshu Wu and Romania 6, it's fine. Drink a lot of water. I did that heavy hit of that stuff for all the way into January, and really changed me. And now I'm doing it again for different reasons, and I don't want to digress off of that too much because I'm trying to answer a lot of questions. Amonger Pete asked me about the NutriBullet. I have never used that because basically I sort of pack up my Vitamix and take it with me wherever. And now if I flew on planes a lot more, I may take something about like that, and I don't know about that. But I, in a second, will take my Vitamix, just throw it in the truck, and take it to somebody's house. even if I'm going there just for a dinner, because I'll make the salad dressing or something like that. Mistress Pob, I like this person. I notice a lot of her lists that she puts together. We're into a lot of stuff, conspiracy stuff, and Don Croft and all. Ask me about probiotics. Probiotics is a place you can spend a lot of money. This drink I'm working on right now, I got all of those in there. I spend maybe, what I've been doing lately, I did this right at the beginning of the year, and that was about a $90 drink. This one I think is about, this was $17. The FOS is half a bottle is $9, so 26. And I'm going to throw a few other things in there, but you could do this. But then a thing I'm a big advocate of is the making the coconut kefir cheap, doing the milk kefir with the same culture starter, and doing the cultured veggies as well, and making them yourself. And this is a big argument that I want to put to anybody that's being lazy and buying their own stuff. First off, buying stuff from the store. First off, when you make it here in your house, the microflora that's around your environment is what goes in to there. And so to me, I don't know any science about that. That intuitively kind of makes a bit of sense to me. Plus, you can put lots of stuff in there. And this stuff is all sort of pre-digested. So a lot of the stuff, ones that you're going to buy, are all kind of cabbage or maybe a little this or that. You can really seriously mix it up and get a lot of nutrients you wouldn't otherwise get in there. You put turmeric root in there, burdock root, radicchio, celery root, sweet potato, seaweed, just lots of stuff that you would, and it's cheap. You could spend about $70 or $80 on getting all these exotic, set aside a day, do all your chop and all that stuff. It's a really good thing to do. I don't talk enough about that. I'm going to get in on that. So, let's see where the rest of my stuff is. Oh, Vegan Princess asked me about depression with the vegan diet. Yes, that's a definite possibility. Well, what I say is that as with any weakness or disease, it's going to go to the path of least resistance in your body. And so I think if you're somebody that's inclined to be depressed or for some reason with a lot of that stuff, yeah, it's gonna go out that way. And a lot of this stuff, specific video on this, the answer to that is definitely yes. And I do want to talk about just kind of like there's a lot of these sort of gothy people that I knew in the late 80s, early 90s, definitely associated with industrial music culture, dressing in black, kind of deep, sort of introspective people. A lot of them straight edge too, and I was around a lot of these people when I was in my sort of 30s, and a lot of them followed the band Skinny Puppy and were very vegan, and a lot of these people kind of had kept journals and were kind of really deeply introspective and had shit parents, and sort of maybe this likeliness to sort of contemplate suicide like every other week or maybe every other day or some shit like that. And a lot of those people were very vegan for very beautiful reasons. But the veganism was probably contributing a lot to them, their sort of downward spiral. And so a lot of people with this vegan intention have the best intentions, but it almost works in reverse because it doesn't really keep your brain together. And I think with any degeneration or anything, symptoms may be exactly like another person, but it's going to go to the path of least resistance. And I'm going to talk about this in a video that's coming up about where I've been and things that have happened with me and some changes that I've made. So, anyways, Amonger Pete also asked me about Benagine. I didn't get a chance to look. I don't know what that is, and I didn't get a chance to look it up yet. So, hey, I'm trying to cut a lot of bases. This is a two-part video today. So, go to the next one. A lot more questions that I've directly answered. I'm trying to take care of business with written messages and my inability. So, part 2.